Now, some people might say that this sounds like a tautological or circular argument. We believe because God is present with us, and we sense God's presence with us because we believe. You see how that kind of goes in a circle. And that's one of the complaints, or one of the criticisms of Christianity, that it has this kind of circular argument at its heart. But even if it is circular, it doesn't make it not true. You see, they're kind of mutually reinforcing ideas. We love God. God is present, we love God. And it just keeps building on itself. So if it's tautology, so what? Big deal. So be it. It is what it is. But this teaching, this idea that God is present, God is always present, and that the disciples, the followers and friends of Jesus can be aware of, can know the presence of God, Jesus says it is a comfort to you. It should be a comfort. It should be a support, a balm, a solace. It should be a presence that empowers. It is the presence of God. So then, in the midst of this teaching about the Holy Spirit, Jesus drops this interesting comment. Peace I give to you. Peace I leave with you. Not as the world gives. And that's the thing that caught my thoughts all this week. Not as the world gives. If somehow this gift of the Holy Spirit, which is the comfort that we need to be able to survive, in a sense, as believers of Jesus in the world, is also a gift of peace. How is that different than the world gives? And what does that mean for us, that we have peace? This idea of peace, it really is kind of, is almost foreign to the world. I mean, look at the newspapers and our daily news. What does the world know of peace? What does the world think peace is? In a very real sense, the world thinks peace is simply the absence of hostility. Right? If we don't have war, well, we have peace. But in the world's mind, it seems to me that what the world understands as peace is simply a temporary thing. It's always conditional. It's a truce. It isn't peace as the Bible understands and describes peace. It isn't peace. It's a truce. It's a temporary halt to conflict and confrontation and warfare. What does the world say? Peace through strength. And the old Latin saying, if you want peace, prepare for war. Peace is something to be fought for and won. It's something to be wrested out of the hands of your enemy. It's something to be forced on your enemy, and if the enemy won't submit, well, then destroy them. That's how we get peace in the world. We eliminate, we destroy, we tear down, we eradicate our enemies. That's peace as the world gives peace. And it never has lasted. Pax Romana, the peace of Rome, came at the point of a sword, and was only effective as long as Roman soldiers could live in force wherever that was needed. That's the way the world understands peace. But when Jesus uses the word peace, he's speaking in Aramaic. And the word for peace in Aramaic is shalom, which is, of course, related to the Hebrew word for peace, shalom. And it doesn't mean just peace. It doesn't mean simply the absence of conflict and warfare. It also has a very deep sense of community, of communal well-being, and individual health and well-being and wholeness within the context of a greater community. It isn't simply the absence of conflict, but which is a kind of a negative definition, but it's a more positive thing, a more inclusive thing that reaches out beyond and pulls in. It attracts in love and in hope and in wholeness and in well-being and in completeness and in perfection or maturity. That's the peace that Jesus gives. Not peace as the world gives, not peace as the world understands and knows, but peace that involves the whole of a person and the whole of a community. And for Jesus, as he preaches this, as he teaches his disciples in this particular case, he's saying that's the peace that you're going to have. And why does he tell them this? So he tells them all this stuff so that when things happen, as we know because we know the rest of the story, they're going to happen very soon. As things happen, the disciples will understand and they will believe. And as we read, you see, we read so that we believe. That's the whole idea behind John's Gospel. If you read at the end of chapter 20, John, the evangelist, says, there are many other signs that Jesus did besides these. But I tell you these so that you can know and believe that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God. And that in believing you will have life. Belief is not something that happens in a vacuum. It is not a thing unto itself. Belief demands, expression in action. Or as James was saying in his epistle, faith without deeds is dead. Belief without action, belief without expression means nothing.